COVID-19 pandemic, finding employees has become significantly harder due to a number of factors, including 1, people want to work from home, 2, early retirements, 3, childcare issues, 4, workplace safety concerns, 5, remote work opportunities, 6, immigration challenges. So all in all, if you'll ask your fellow business person if they're having trouble finding workers, more than likely they will say yes, that they're having a difficulty retaining employees, finding employees. So a few years back, I was talking to a fellow person in the cleaning industry, and they told me the only way to fix this or to deal with this is that you have to be constantly recruiting. So I've put it into practice, and I just want to give you guys like just a few ideas if you do get into the recruiting like I have been doing for these past 2 years. Questions that you can ask while you're doing interviews. Okay? So every time I start an interview, someone once said that eventually they told me, I asked them, well, like when I first started interviewing, I interview like every single day, and every week I interview about 50 different people. So it's a lot of people to interview, and it takes a lot of my time, but I do it so that in case somebody quits, in case somebody doesn't show up to work, I have people like on the bench. So I want you to think about like if you were in a basketball team or in some sort of sports team, having people on your bench at all times in case somebody does quit, you know what to do. Because what happens to us as business owners? Somebody quits, and then we're like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna do? How am I gonna fill this spot? I have all these people that have invested all this money into their deposit, into these things. Everything gets chaotic. So if you find a way to deal with this before they quit, or before they don't show up, or before they take a long-term vacation, then this will really help. So as I was talking to one of my colleagues and I asked her, I was like, well, I don't really even know how to interview or what questions to ask. She said, eventually you're gonna become really good at it, just do it, and eventually you're gonna learn. So over the course of the past 2 years, I think I've gotten somewhat better at interviewing people. And so these are the questions that I ask. Question number 1. I look them in the eye and I just say, tell me about your weekend. What did you do? Why is that good? Well, this is good because you are gonna see how they interact with people. Because this question is gonna make them either go into their shell and hide from you, or it's gonna make this amazing personality shine through to you. So a lot of people will just start telling you about their weekend. Some people will hardly say anything, and some people will almost like you can't even shut them up. And then the next question that I ask them, because this is really important for me and for my work culture, is I ask them about integrity. I say, what does integrity mean to you? Some people look at me like they've never even heard that word before. They don't know what integrity means. And so I would say about 25% of the people don't even know what to say, and they start making things up. Well, it means this. It means like going to work and being a hard worker, and they're just making stuff up. And then there's other people that will say, you know, I really don't know what integrity means. And that person to me has more integrity than the person that's giving a fake response. And then there's the person that does know what integrity means. And they'll say things like, well, integrity means being careful what you do when nobody is watching. Always acting as if somebody's watching you. If you see something of value on the table in someone's house, like not picking it up, not putting it into your pocket, or if you see others within your company or your organization doing that, making sure to say something. So I always want to know that, because for me in my business, integrity is such a huge factor. And that is actually one of our core values here within LeTip. It's integrity. So I think that we should ask people that we hire, what does integrity mean? And maybe we should ask ourselves, what is integrity to me? What does integrity mean to me in my business? How do I handle people? What do I do when nobody is watching? Another question that I like to ask people is about stress. How do you handle stress? Because my business is extremely stressful. And there's some people that get stressed while I'm asking them that question. They start jittering and they're like messing around with their hands, and you're like sitting here sweating. And I'm like, okay, if they tell me something like, well, I don't like stress, like it's just not good. I don't like it, and I'm not really good at handling stress. Well, nobody ever says that, but you can tell by their reaction. So another thing that they say when you ask them about stress is they say, well, a lot of people will say, well, I like to meditate. I go into a meditative state. And I'm thinking, well, not while you're on my job. Like, I don't want you going into like a meditative state if you're like supposed to be cleaning a house like and finishing within 3 hours, and here you are meditating in like the garage. Like, I don't think that would be good. Or meditating while they're driving on the freeway, like they need to be like focused and paying attention. Another way that they say that they handle stress is some people actually do tell me, like, I pray. Like, that's how I handle stress. And some people say, well, I do a lot of yoga. Like, they talk about yoga. They talk about, some people talk about smoking, and that's okay, if they smoke, but just as long as they don't do it while they're, in the middle of cleaning a house, but, so I like to ask that question a lot about stress, like handling stress. And, and this is one of the last questions I always ask. I always say, why cleaning? Like, why do you want to clean? And some people say, well, I'm really OCD. I'm really, really OCD. Like, I think I could just get over there and just be like so like OCD. And I hear OCD almost every single day. I hear OCD, how OCD people are. And I'm thinking, well, are they gonna follow the training that we teach them? Because like, even though OCD is important, like we don't want them to get caught up just like in one little area. So like, think about this, like whatever your industry is, if you're struggling to find employees, think about how you can be proactive about it. What you can do to make sure that you always have someone sitting on the bench waiting for the job. Like if you interviewed 3 months ago and today is the day that someone leaves, then we can't go back to the pool of 3 months ago. We need someone that just interviewed this week, because we know that those people are actively looking for work and they're ready to work. So ask yourself that. And it has actually worked for me. It has. I just hired my 11th W-2 employee, and I think that they're starting to become better. Like, the pool of the people is actually starting to be better. So that's my tip for you guys this week. I hope you guys have a great week.